Hello, this is a Transversal Economy channel. Thanks to be here today. Our topic is Beyond China, why India and Indonesia are the next global powerhouses. For more than 2 decades, the global economy revolves around one country, China. Factories, ports, supply chains, growth forecast, technological prowess, everything pointed to China. But now it's changing. New economic powers are emerging. They are offering investment opportunities to the world, as China did decades back. Multinationals are diversifying, governments are rethinking risk, and two countries keep showing up in boardrooms, trade data, and long-term forecast. Those two countries are India and Indonesia. So the real question is no longer, is China still important? Yes, China is at a strong position economically and keeps cementing that position. It's an industrial giant, and as you know, China is challenging US in many sectors. I'm talking about economically, technologically, and then many other sectors, and even surpassing United States in other sectors. But what happens beyond China? As supply chain fragments, risk rise, and growth shifts. India and Indonesia are emerging as the next global powerhouses economically, demographically, and strategically. They are showing strength of what they could become in the next decade. We will go through some details to demonstrate why, how, and what it means for global trade and supply chains. Why the world is looking beyond China. The shift isn't ideological, it's structural. First, let's talk about rising cost. China is no longer a low-cost country. Wages have multiplied over 20 years. A strong middle class exists. They are more educated and skilled. You can't pretend paying low wages to Chinese workers as before. Energy and compliance costs are higher. Margins are under pressure. So, what about the geopolitical risk? Trade wars, sanction risk, technology restrictions, strategic decoupling in critical sectors. Companies are not leaving China entirely. They are adding alternatives for more flexible supply chains. This strategy now has a name. The name is China Plus One. And that's where India and Indonesia enter the picture. Concerning India, which is the scale alternative, China offers scale alternative. India's biggest advantage can be summed up in one word: scale. With a population of 1.4 plus billions, every very young population of about 30 years of age, talking about an average, well educated on top of that, expanding middle class, and massive internal markets. Let's start talking about manufacturing in India, the manufacturing momentum. So India is aggressively positioning itself as a manufacturing hub. Electronics, pharmaceuticals, automotive, semiconductors. Semiconductor, they are at an early stage, but it's a strategic. Government initiatives like Make in India and production incentives are attracting big players like Apple suppliers, global electronics firms, industrial multinationals. Let's say some words about supply chains ecosystems in India. Supply chain reality check. India isn't perfect. Infrastructure gaps, complex regulations, logistics inefficiencies. But here's the truth: India doesn't need to be as efficient as China. It needs to be good enough at a massive scale. And that's getting there. And they are getting there. It's getting there. Now, let's talk about Indonesia. Indonesia, the key force is of a resource powerhouse. Indonesia plays a very different game. If India is about labor and scale, Indonesia is about resources and positioning. Okay, strategic geography with Indonesia. This country sits on major global shipping lanes, connects East Asia, South Asia, and Australia, which is a natural logistic hub for Asian trade. What about the resource dominance? Indonesia is rich in nickel, copper, bauxite, coal. Nickel alone is critical for electrical vehicles, batteries, energy storage. Indonesia isn't just exporting raw materials anymore. It's forcing value creation at home. Refining, processing, and industrial clustering. It's a strategic move. Transforming raw materials at home to create added value. This is how to get more of its population at work. You are giving them more opportunities, more hiring possibilities because you are processing your raw materials. This is a very, very good move. It helps reducing poverty and creating middle class and rich people in the nation. Future local investors will emerge to support the economy. Let's talk about the industrial policy shifts. We are still in the Indonesia. Export bans on raw materials, incentives for downstream manufacturing, growing EV and battery ecosystem. This is how countries move up the value chain. Let's make some comparison between India and Indonesia. They are different. They have different strengths, but going same direction. Okay, for the core advantage, in India, it's about labor and large scale. But in Indonesia, it's more about resources and location. We talk about the logistics strategic position. Concerning the growth driver, in India, it's about manufacturing and services. In Indonesia, it's about commodities and industrialization. Concerning the risk profile, in India, unfortunately, it's about bureaucracy, how it will improve. In Indonesia, it's about infrastructure gaps, really behind compared to India. Concerning strategic role, in India, it's about a global factory alternative. In Indonesia, it's about regional industrial anchor. So the two countries, they are not competitors. They are complements in a multipolar supply chain world. Now, what will be the impact for global trade? We are moving from one dominant manufacturing center, I'm referring to China, to a network of regional powerhouses. China remains central, but no longer alone. India and Indonesia represent risk diversification, growth diversification, political diversification. For businesses, this means multi-country sourcing, regional production hubs, more resilient but more complex supply chains. Now, in conclusion, I will say the future of global power is no longer concentrated in one place. It's distributed. India brings people, scale, and momentum. Indonesia brings resources, geography, and industrial ambition. Together, they represent the next chapter of globalization, not less global, but more balanced. If you want to understand more, you want to understand where trade, logistics, and supply chains are heading next, just look beyond China. To support our work, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. See you on the next one. Take care. Bye.